Hey, welcome back. I am going to be doing my update for May's focus palettes and then show y'all the chosen ones for June's focus month. So if you're excited, then definitely keep on watching. If you're not familiar with this particular little challenge, project pan, eyeshadow project pan, whatever you want to call it, I started this back in January and I pick 5 palettes every single month to use. That doesn't include single shadows, and it also doesn't include any other new palettes that I have acquired throughout the year. With one being a constant, that is my Pan palette, my main focus for the entire year. And that palette I talk more in depth and do updates, and I will link those down below. And also make sure that each shade in a palette gets used so it's a no pan left behind. So with all of that out of the way, I can get started with the palette. I'm going to start off with the first palette that I had pulled in, which was the BYS Peach palette. I had neglected this palette for years. And it was a palette that I was very hesitant on decluttering because I was like, my sister gifted it to me, so it kind of was like a sentimental, I don't want to let it go. And also, well, I just didn't use it because it was mostly shimmer heavy. There's only just 3 mattes in here, so I was like, how am I going to create looks off of it? Not really thinking that, duh, I could have combined this with all my other palettes and got a much more feel off of it. I did very much enjoy this palette. I enjoy a lot of these shimmers. Now, they're nothing special nowadays. They're not duochromes or multichromes, they're just your very standard shimmers, but they do show up pretty much true to what you see here in the pan. I enjoyed using this palette. I'm wearing the last shade that I need to complete my No Pan Left Behind goal in this, which is the shade called Brazen, and that is what you see all over the lid. It is an absolutely beautiful, like, one and done sort of shadow, but I did layer some other things that I needed to get uses off of. This look is a very hodgepodge mishmash, but I kind of like it. It's a very unexpected sort of color story. The quality on this is not deteriorating. It's not looking like it's getting moldy or old or not performing as great. It is still a pretty good palette, and I mean, I'm going to keep it. It's not the point of doing this to declutter or not. But I'm very much keeping this because I realize it is a pretty good palette. I'm just not using it to its full potential. On the screen right now, you are seeing that it got used a total of 15 times, one being a use that was not counted for this project. It was for the look that I did back for the Hannah Montana anniversary. And the 2 most used shade in this palette is the shimmer shade called Slay, which is a light pink, and this shade called Lavish. The next palette that was pre-selected is my ColourPop Sweet Talk palette. This one I also have not really given a lot of attention to just because I've been enjoying trying more indie branded eyeshadow palettes and eyeshadow formulas because I've noticed that ColourPop, I much prefers mattes over its shimmers for most of the time, and just ColourPop is just not a really much of a brand that I'm like want a lot of more products from or anything. I'm just kind of weaning off. I'm getting very tired of seeing ColourPop. But this palette is very good. I very much still enjoy this palette. I did mention in the previous update that I would not be using these shades, or that they would either most likely not get touched, but I did end up using both of those in the manicure that I'm half sporting right now. It is very much chipped off and everything, but I did use those glitters as nail polish. I'll enjoy this palette. It's very much pretty. I did enjoy some of the looks that I incorporated these shades in. These are very beautiful coral shades, perfect for bringing spring into summer, even though here in Texas we have majority of just summer. We don't really have a spring season, but it was just perfect and I very much enjoyed it. The most used shade in this palette is this shade called Dreammaker. Next palette pre-selected for this month is my ColourPop High Tide palette. Now this one can get a little bit messy because of the reasoning that I mentioned in the previous update regarding this matte shade here on the bottom. As you can kind of see, it has a little bit exploded. It's a messy, so we will ignore that, and I'm going to try and tilt this palette to the best of my ability. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love this palette. I'm so happy to have a monochromatic teal palette, or just a bunch of teal options, because teal is not a color that is very prominent or popular in my collection. I do like the shade, I do like using it, I do like playing around with it. I just have, prior to buying this palette, I didn't have a lot of teal shades, so it was a good option in addition to my collection. Every single shade performed fine. I enjoy the shimmers, I enjoy the mattes, I enjoy the looks off of this. I just very much enjoy playing with this one again. As you can see on the screen as well, I used it a total of 12 times, and in this palette, I used 3 shades, 2 times each, as being all of them the most used shade in this palette. The first one being Urchin, the second one being Must See, and the third shade being New Wave. Now, I really wanted to use this dark matte more often, but with it being shattered and a very much mess, ignore it. I accidentally swatched one of the shades twice, so we're looking at these 3 shades right here as my most used. This go around, I also want to say I think there are some overlap in some shades, but off the top of my head, I can't really remember. I want to say that that matte here, which is called Lunar, I want to say it's kind of similar to a shade in the Glamlight palette that I will be talking about next. The second to last chosen palette is my Glamlight and Michaela palette. This is a new one into my collection that I probably bought, I think, towards the end of last year, I think, or like almost into the new year. And I know I am not a fan of Michaela. I do not like her. Again, I say, if this is my way of saying I support her, please take that as I do not. I bought this secondhand. I didn't buy it straight through the launch. so I don't see it as directly supporting her or anything to do with her. I just really enjoyed this palette's color story. So with that out of the way, this palette, as you can see, has 2 dots per shade to mark off if I've used that shade or not. That original use was from a 4Looks 1 palette that I like to use for all of my newer palettes, so that is just first use. So I had used this palette 78 times, not 70 times. I've used all of the shades in here for a total of 78 times. Not the entire palette 70 times. Whew, that would have been a whole lot. But it's a very fun color story, very much appropriate for coming into summer, spring into summer. And there is 4 shades in this palette that I had used the most, being the first one being Iconic, which is this like bubblegum pink, and absolutely you can see why I had loved using that one. Simping, again, also very bubblegum pink shimmer version of that one. And then the second 2 colors that I had used the most, the third one is the best color, which is a pretty like mint green, I guess, aqua, I don't know, I'm the worst at describing colors. And then the last one is called Stunning, which is this very much like metallic green. It is so gorgeous. And overall, this palette I got more of a feel of as well in terms of its quality and how I should go about using some of the darker shades. And the last palette that is the constant, this is my Pan That palette, this is the one that is in every single update of these videos, is the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill palette, the very original OG, the first iteration of this palette when it first came out. This palette, I have achieved my goal of several shades. For this month, there were 5 specific shades that I kept gravitating towards because they just went well with the other palettes I had chosen, and it was these 3 in particular. I'm glad that I got a whole lot more use off of it this month, and as well as these 2 down here, because those were ones that I was very much a slow process on. And so for this update, I have hit my goal on several shades. The first one being Faint, I hit my 10 use goal off of this month. The shade called Twerk, I hit my 10 use goal off of. The other shade called Mocha, which is this brown here at the end. And the last shade I hit my goal on, and also using in this look, is this shade called Soda Pop. I'm just still enjoying this palette. I say that every single time, and I probably will repeat myself every single time. Since that is the update, I will show y'all the pre-selected palettes for June, because June is Pride Month, and I just cannot wait. Cannot wait. The first chosen palette for June is going to be the Pinky Rose Bright Lights palette. This was gifted to me by my sister. This is my first introduction to a colorful rainbow palette. This is something that I was eyeing when I first started getting into makeup and using more color in my eye looks. And again, this go around the same for June, same for May, when I said that I may or may not be using the glitters, because this palette does contain 3 glitters. Tickle, Cupcake, and Dazzle are all pressed glitters, and since I'm not interested in using glitters anymore on my eyes or anywhere near my eyes, I'm going to attempt to use them in my nail polish. I'm excited because I also neglect this palette. It's not that it is bad quality, it's good, I just don't gravitate towards it anymore, so I'm excited to play more with this one, and especially I'm pulling for June because of Pride Month. It'll definitely, you know, fit for that. Next palette is a very unexpected palette chosen for this month. It's the Cosmic Beauty Muse palette. This is very much a little bit grungy. It's more, I think, geared towards like spring, and also can kind of fit in for fall, so for summer it's a little unexpected. But I think a lot of these tones can work, or I can incorporate and make use of for summer or for June, and it'll be fun. And this is also another palette that I'm trying to complete for 4Looks 1 palette, because I am very much slow in that one. My journey on those is like a grandma pace. Well, I'm very much happy. I am hoping to get this also completed and also just used. I'm excited to see what sort of shades I gravitate towards to the most. I kind of feel like I know which ones, but we'll see if what is true and what is not true. The next palette I pulled in is my Profusion Festival palette. Sorry for the glare, but this is a palette that I was also kind of hesitant about a couple of years ago, and I ended up doing 4 looks off of this palette to kind of decide if I want to declutter or not back in 2024. And again, I'm also kind of in that same boat again. I'm kind of figuring out if I want to keep this or not, because while it is a very much colorful palette, I know for sure the shimmers are what I prefer more of in this palette than the mattes, but I'm hoping that with this round I'm able to fully determine more and get familiarized and figure out where my head is at with this one. I don't want to let it go as well, just because my sister got it for me as well, and it was a palette that I was kind of searching for several months. But if the palette quality is not there and I don't want to fuss with it, why should I keep it? But I'm happy to bring this back in and also pair it with all of the other shades in this round. And the second to last palette I've chosen is the Blend Bunny Blends palette. Yes, this is the OG. I can say it's an OG one now because they have revamped this palette, and again, why do we need another rainbow palette from an already brand that creates rainbow palettes pretty much every launch? But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about this palette. And I'm excited to bring this out because of it is perfect for Pride Month. It is perfect for June, for summer. It's got the bright colors. It's got the fun colors. It's got every single sort of shade I can think of or need. And they're all matte. So that is absolutely perfect that I can pair with any other shimmer that I want. And I've not fully completed this palette for 4 looks, but I've already uploaded all of the looks that I created with this palette on my Instagram. So I'm just excited to get even more use off of and get more familiarized with Blend Bunny formula because I'm not that familiar with it. And the last palette that I will not spend too much time on, y'all guys know, it's a Morphe Jekyll Hill palette. I have upside down, but this is the, ooh, I am almost dropping it. I have it upside down. Can I even record and function today? No. But this is all year round. We know it. We've seen it. We've talked about it time and time again. But hopefully in June I can accomplish more of my 10 use goal on more of these shades. That is all of the palettes this go around. Are you excited to see what sort of looks I come up with this? I'm hoping to do maybe a couple of videos using these palettes, maybe do incorporating this palette with another one, so using, let's say, these two for 1 week and do a video on it, another, you know, just sort of something like that, or I don't know. We'll see what June brings, but I hope you guys enjoyed this update. Hope you guys enjoyed seeing my looks. Do you have any predictions? Do you have any guesses of how many looks? Because I forgot to mention, I did my goal of 13 looks, not intentionally. But let me go ahead and leave y'all. I'm so sorry for babbling on in this outro. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day and your week, and I will see you in my next one. Bye-bye, guys.